For this week's
Oh,
special episode, we read Better Run by Alina May.
Jaden. She's become my obsession. I hate her for it. I took her for another reason, but now I don't think I'll let her go. Cole. Jaden brought us home a pretty murderous little plaything. I think I'm going to keep it. Mary Joe. I'm kidnapped by two twisted, dangerous, and hungry men. I don't know any of the rules to this fucked up game I'm forced to play. Well, I know I'm not allowed to run. I've never been good at following rules. They play with my body and mind, forcing me to join in, forcing me to like it, but things become increasingly dangerous as I find out the real reason they took me, and it becomes more and more apparent what I need to do to keep both my body and my heart safe. Run. Better Run is a standalone Stockholm quote unquote romance. There are extensive trigger warnings. There is no sappy romance in this book. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had read this on my own, I would have DNF'd it.
Yeah,
I hated this book. I almost texted you halfway through this book and said, I don't want to do this.
I
I'm gonna be
it
fully real with
was
you.
a ride. It
So
was an
this is gonna be
interesting ride.
short.
It did not go how I thought it was going to go.
None of this went how I thought it was gonna go. I didn't even read the trigger warning list, but I read the author note and I was like, I'm gonna hate this book. I already know I'm gonna hate
So
this book.
I didn't from the author note. I know that it can be done.
When an author says there's non-con throughout the entire book, I was like, I don't like that.
Right, but I know that it can be done in a way that it's still it just was icky.
I hated it. And I hate it more that I have to do this book.
Sorry, I didn't know
20%
that.
of the way through, I just highlighted. I stopped typing
It's
notes.
short at least. So, and that is my actual biggest complaint about this book. It should have been
I
longer
have a lot of
and
complaints.
it should have been fleshed out more to become a full-rounded book and a full-rounded story. And it's
So
gonna be May.
it's been me. Again, this is the feeling.
I got a feeling.
No. It's so funny that you were sending me those videos of the Taylor Swift thing. I'm like, I sent them to you.
I didn't, yeah.
Because I saw
No,
them.
we kind of set different ones. It's like my new favorite thing is watching Taylor perform the Torture Poets Department
It's
songs
so good.
in live. It's just my new favorite thing.
It's so fantastic.
But the first
Her.
time it popped up organically for me,
Mhm.
like chills, goosebumps, and I was just like,
Aw.
oh,
And the fact that like this bitch was just off for not a super long time and it was like, oh yeah, she's just
a
having
whole new
no,
show.
she was not
There's a
taking
whole
time off.
new
She was
fucking
planning
show.
things.
Ugh.
I I
Have you
yeah,
seen the
I
side by sides with, sorry, have you seen the side by sides with the like when my divorced parents at
when
the concert with the Matt Healy?
oh my God.
Because
I miss the people being
her
sad about.
moves in some
Oh
of those
yeah, I
songs,
have
yeah.
heard that. I guess she does the Maddie salute during The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Bro, the drum line.
Yeah.
My favorite though is the transition for her going into I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. That is the funniest
Yeah.
shit I have
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
seen
yeah.
in my entire life.
That's the one I sent you with you had the
Mhm.
whole them with putting her in the thing and everything.
Dude,
And
so funny. So funny.
I've been sick all week. It's been rough in my world. Rough in my world.
The broke situation is making me want to cry every day.
I just I just hate it.
Same season, same season. I wanted to say, I don't, you know what I didn't hate? It's a lie. I didn't hate
Ah.
it. I just didn't
Okay.
love it.
I didn't hate it. It didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go.
I mean, yeah, there were some bits I was like confused. I was like, what is gonna do what? And then the thing happened and I was like, what?
It felt unfinished. Like it didn't, yeah.
Parts of it I feel were thrown in just to throw them in.
What, because they could have
I
been
don't
expanded
know.
upon and wrapped around
Yeah,
as a
they
story,
just
but yeah.
didn't. But
Hold on, let
it's
me stop
fine.
that
We're
from,
not
let
here
me
to
turn
talk
off his
about how,
volume.
huh? So this week we're not here to discuss Taylor Swift. Sometimes we're not here to discuss how broke we are. We're here to talk about the final fucking special of May. And thank
It's gonna be
fuck
May.
for that shit.
It's soon not gonna be May.
It's soon going to be Crystal's month, and I can't wait for it. And it's not because it's my birthday month. No, no, no. My birthday was in January, and we overtook that with snowing.
But here's another
Snowing. Snowed
J
in.
name of a month.
Did you say another J name? It's
Of a month.
okay. Is I need it
Cute.
to follow up whatever just happened this month. Some of it was great, and as you can probably see, I've slowly descended into just wearing a cardigan in my hair is not brushed. That's just how this month went.
Were
I
we supposed
lost
to
my
brush
other
her hair?
glasses. Not often. I don't often brush it.
I didn't get
Maybe
that
I did
memo.
brush. No, I took it out of the braid it was in. I lost my other glasses. No idea where they are. Those are my favorite ones too. So we are. So I got this. Oh, it's okay. But you know what?
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's okay.
Sure.
It's
You
okay.
know who's not okay? Me.
You. Do you want to know why you're not okay?
Okay.
Because for this special episode, we read Better Run by Alina May.
Yeah. I did enjoy the dedication of this book, and I've said that almost at pretty much every single book this month, but
You do enjoy a good
I
dedication.
love a good dedication, and when a good dedication comes in strong, I have high hopes, and then they're dashed, but it's okay. So the
She's
dedication,
got high, high hopes for the reading.
and it just says to all my dirty, nasty hoes, you ready to have some fun? The full trigger warning list for this book is on the website.
There's
Go
a
over
trigger
the
warning list. Check your triggers if you have
There it
triggers.
is. Yeah, the author does say that this is a
Main
true
triggers is dubcon and non-con.
Yeah, it just says that this is a true I'd like to kill you enemies to Stockholm lovers. And
Oh, and Schmurder.
almost the entire book contains non-con. I do wish, as I said, that I wish that I had read the entire warnings before I agreed to do this book as the special, but that is on me. I was given two
Especially
options.
since I had no idea what it was about, really. I just saw the tiny
So
little
here's the
blurb and I
thing.
was like, Crystal, hey, can you research this and look into this and see if this is a good option?
Do you want to
I
know what
bet
I
you
did?
Crystal didn't really look into it. She just went, that works.
I read the description and said, okay.
Yeah, I had a feeling when it
Um,
got down to the wire and you were just like, here you go. And I was like, oh
so
no, this
here's what
might go
happened.
bad.
Here's what happened. We had another option for the special for today, but we didn't feel it fit our hunting theme so much.
They were starting to pull that series off Kindle Unlimited, and we were just kind of like, ooh,
Yeah, we
where
typically
we
don't.
advertised it as Kindle Unlimited, and now it's like starting to be pulled. We didn't want to be all wishy-washy about it. We wanted, if we're gonna do a non-Kindle Unlimited book, we want to be like, it's not Kindle Unlimited,
There
you know?
is one of those coming, by the
Yeah.
way, next month. Suckers. Anyways, so she sent me this as an option, and I read the title and was like, okay. And then I read the description and was like, okay, that sounds like an Ariel book. Let's just do this. I regret everything that I did.
No regrets.
No, not even one letter. All of the letters. But it did fit the hunting theme
It did. It was on
so
brand. It was
much.
on theme.
Now, here's the thing. You read that description and you're like,
That had a lot
okay,
of potential.
great. And then you read
Right.
the book and then, oh,
You're like,
wait.
oh, oh,
There was,
oh,
anyways. Yeah.
oh.
Yep. It is what it is. And that's not to say that maybe this is some other people's cup of tea. This was not my cup of tea. And I
It
had to do
wasn't
it.
bad. It just needed more.
Sure.
Like to be developed.
I needed to unread this.
And Crystal needed less.
Being so
I
dramatic.
needed more development. Crystal needed less.
No, there needed to be more development throughout the book. I just didn't want to read it. Anyways, so we opened this book with Mary Jo, and great, it's multi POV. Mary Jo is the thing. She is coming home from the store, and her boyfriend Kyle is sitting on the couch, and he is useless and also a bit sneaky, if I dare say so myself. Any man who instantly flips their phone over when you walk into a
Oh.
room is being
Hmm.
sneaky. Mary Jo has earned income from going viral a year ago. Things with Kyle have been really slowing down. Dude, every time his name came up, all I could think of too was when we did Dating and Dismemberment
Oh, and
and all the bad guys were Kyle.
all the losers are Kyle.
Well, you know what? This Kyle, also a loser. So this
Hmm.
continues that.
Yes.
Things with, you know what?
Yes.
We're fucking
Thank you, A.L. Brody, for continuing our Kyle sucks.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Just
So
kidding.
things with Kyle have really been slowing down lately. Oh, side note, actually, sorry. Did you see that he made a video about a bear typing a letter to a man? It's dressed as
No,
a bear.
no. I
Yeah,
need to go watch it.
it popped up on my For You page this.
No. Hold on.
Oh God. Sorry. It's just funny. I saw it like when it popped up, I was like, he's dressed as God. I actually might have it under my legs. I can probably send it to you. A bear writing an open letter to men. I got you.
I got him.
Okay. Sorry. I like how the name Kyle just made us spiral. Oh man. That man doesn't know we exist. He did like my hair. Anyways,
No
so
offense, Bear Zaddy.
yeah. Oh God. Such a great piece of TikTok. You're welcome. So anyways, yeah. So things with Kyle have been
If you
really
haven't watched that video, now is
go
the
watch
chance for
it.
you to
It's
go do
so
it.
great.
Yeah.
It's so great.
And then
Things
maybe
with
come and watch some of ours because no, we're cool too. I'm just kidding.
things with Kyle have been really slowing down lately, and they just don't have that spark that they had before, which Kyle sucks. Like he just plays
Did
video
they
games
ever
all
have a
day.
spark? I have doubts.
They might have for like a brief period of time, but
Kyle seems like he just is a douche canoe.
He is a super douche canoe. Mary Jo's getting super bored of trying. She even like strips naked in front of him and he just says, nice, and then goes back to his video game. I
I mean, at least he commented.
would slit Spencer's throat in his sleep if he ever did that to me. That was really aggressive. He just brought me breakfast.
So,
You can't just strip naked
note
in
to
front of.
Spencer, do not say nice.
No, like, I think what the problem that bothered me is he said nice and then went back to playing his video games.
Yeah.
Clearly, she was wanting something and whatever. So
Yeah.
instead,
She
she
took care of
goes,
it herself.
yep, she goes and flops under her bed and pictures the porn that she had been watching, and it's pretty like graphic and hardcore porn. And she masturbates. And then we get a chapter that's just labeled him. And it's clear that this man, whoever the fuck he is, we know who.
Is stalking her.
Yeah, he's watching her. He's put a small camera in her room on her dresser, and
And
he
I had
just,
some high hopes.
I did too. And he just ends it ominously, thinking to himself, soon, kitten, soon.
It's like, ooh,
Ooh.
okay.
I liked those. Oh, and to include in this, there are also little images throughout the book at the end of
Which was
chapters.
kind of cool too.
I did like that. That reminds me of Irish Cream.
Yes, Irish Cream had them. Yeah,
Irish
I think
Cream
so.
with the cool, yeah, I like that.
Yes.
I like when a book has the inclusion of them.
Sophie Lark has pictures in hers as well. There's a couple authors that does the pictures, but I know that that's one that always has the pictures. It's kind of cute. I like it.
So a few nights later, Mary Jo is talking on a video chat with her friend Carissa, and they're talking about where to vacation next. Carissa
Mm.
makes a joke about Mary Jo finding a hot woman, but Mary Jo says that Kyle flipped out the last time and that when she kissed a girl on New Year's, he cried for 2 hours. To me, it sounds like Kyle is a little bitch.
Mm. It was weird. I had that
Your
same thought.
girlfriend? Did you really?
What a little bitch. But no,
I mean,
but I mean, if he doesn't want her with other people, that's fine. But like,
but he was fine about her talking about it. He wasn't
but to
okay with
say
it in
he's okay
practice
with her doing it, and then when she does it, and then he whines and cries about it,
for two
is
hours.
being a little bitch, in my opinion. Like, don't
Yeah.
say you're okay with something and have put up a front of being okay with it, and well, you're not being okay. Like, be honest. If she had just done it on her own and then you were upset about it, I wouldn't have just called you a name.
I think it just hit me a little too close. I'm sorry. Like men and their fragile little egos. Dumb men. Anyways, after this call, she ends up falling asleep in the middle of the night. And all I could think of was in the
In the
middle of the
middle
night.
of the
I
night.
know. My dreams. She's awoken by a heavy weight over her mouth. And this man is also just laying on her chest. Of course, she
Sometimes.
is fighting back. I would be fighting back as well. And she is like literally fighting back so hard. But she feels a burning in her neck. Oh my God, I forgot to warn you guys. There's drugging in this book.
So much. No, I'm kidding.
I literally just said, of course he drugged her. Oh, wonderful. This month is just books with
It's
lots
on
of
theme.
drugging.
On theme. Welcome to May. It's for the drugs.
Nope.
No, I'm just kidding.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. But when you have to bring a body from here to there and you don't want them, never mind. When you don't want them conscious for it.
That's a therapist crystal right there. But like, fucking Christ.
See, my
When she,
bad. Is that not what people do?
no, when she wakes up, she's in front of a wooden wall. She's actually just in a very small bedroom. There's also a man there, and he greets her by name. She, understandably, is shocked that this man knows her name, and she tries to lunge at him, but oh no, she's cuffed on a short chain. This man then just starts to list off everything that he knows about her. Everything from what she does, her family, friends, her favorite color, and she just stares because holy fuck, like, what? This man knows so many things. He tells her that there are a few rules. If she tries to attack him again, he'll hurt her. What? He does. He knows so many things about her. That's a lot. And now we know all these things about her. So it's kind of like we're stalking her. I feel like as a reader, we're stalking these characters. So realistically, every book could be a stalker romance if you think of it that way.
Seems legit.
I think so. We're just looking into their lives. It's a little weird. Anyways, if she tries to attack him again, he'll hurt her. He won't hurt her if she listens to his rules. If she runs, he will punish her. And they're currently located miles into the hills, so there's no escape. After that, he leaves the room and tells her to think about the rules. Mary is stunned as shit. She realizes that her right hand is shackled to the bed frame and she has about a foot of slack.
Oh no.
More handcuffing to a bed.
It's definitely May. Crystal's like, never again.
You'll know the part of this book where I was just done. And it's a way later. You'll know it when I mention it. Anyways, there's an empty plastic bucket and two water bottles, and the rest of the room is empty, minus the chair that this man was sitting in. She can see out the window, and she can see that while the sun is out, there's just woods everywhere. Also, this window is nailed shut, so she can't open it. She's also confused as to how does this man know who I am? Also, what does he want me for? Good questions.
All questions.
Solid questions. She waits for him to come back into the room, but he never does, and she falls asleep. This him thinks that every time I say that, though, all I can think of is him from Powerpuff Girls. Not related at all. He thinks that the plan went off without a hitch. The way she fought him made him want to fuck her so bad, and he thinks back to how he took her. He staged a breakup note for her. Obviously, we know Kyle was cheating on her, so this made the breakup letter way more credible. He also used her face to unlock her phone and make a text like post video saying that she found a business opportunity and that she was really busy. And then he turned her phone off, took out the SIM card, and dropped it into her backyard. So there's that. The next morning, Mary Jo wakes up and hears the door open. The guy comes into the room and unlocks her cuffs, then walks out of the room. She follows him and tells him that she needs to use the bathroom. He brings her there.
She follows him like a little puppy dog.
She does, like a little kitten. But he doesn't allow her to pee alone. She tries so hard to not pee with him in the room, but finally the pressure it just becomes too much. And then he tells her to follow him by telling her to come. He's like, "Come." He's a man of few words at the moment. Brings her into the kitchen, makes her a sandwich, and tells her to eat. Because she is starving, she devours it. It's just like a peanut butter sandwich. But you know what? Honestly, I would, if I'm hungry, I'm just eating whatever. This man receives a phone call and he tells her to remember the rules and steps outside to take the call. I honestly would listen to this man all of the time because he already kidnapped her. So, like, it goes back to like multiple books that we've read where like they've told them to do things and then they don't do it and then bad things happen. Just shut the fuck up and listen. At least she wasn't so, she was kind of mouthy, but she wasn't as mouthy as some of the other FMCs we've read. She checks out the kitchen and the fridge and she sees the food that she normally eats at her own house stocked in there. So,
And enough for at least a week.
yeah. So now she knows he's been stalking her. Oh,
And that he plans to keep her for at least a little while.
which again goes back to why. She thinks in her brain that she could totally go into the bathroom and break the mirror because, weapon wise and stuff. But he comes back in and he goes, "Oh, are you trying to run?" And she tells him no. She's terrified, but he also looks a little bit disappointed, as if he really wanted her to run. I mean, the name of this book is Better Run, so I mean. So she decides that for the next few hours, she's going to come up with a plan. She needs to get out of there. Good luck, bitch. I'm sorry. That was my own side note. Mary Jo also notices that he's been giving her more and more freedom slowly. And finally, on the third day, he doesn't chain her to the bed. She asks him, who he was talking to on the phone the other day, and he just responds with a friend. He's also working on a small engine that's for an ATV. Of course, after he drops the wrench he's using to fix this ATV, she decides to do the stupid shit and makes a grab for the wrench.
So if this book had been developed properly, I feel like it would have been more spelled out that I'm pretty sure it was done on purpose because he was giving her rope to see and give her like a test.
Yes, he tests her a lot, but we don't know that. We just have to guess. And when she manages to get it, she slams it into his skull.
Which is fine, but I don't want to do that much work while I'm reading, usually.
I didn't want to think. Ugh,
I like to read for pleasure, not just
I haven't pleasure read in so long. Take that as you want. I don't. Anyways, she slams it into his skull and continues to keep hitting him. He finds this is great, and he is laughing his ass off, even though he's in pain. He respects her a little bit for this, like, you know. And then he does manage to bring her to the ground and roll her over into a shoulder lock and tells her to stop or he will break her arm. This definitely makes her stop, but he loves her violent. But she also broke one of the rules. So now it is punishment time. And he asks her to pick A or B. What are the options? We don't know yet, but she picks B. What is B, you might ask? Oh, it's a spanking with a wooden paddle. She screams.
We never find out what A was.
No, we don't. She screams a bit when he is spanking her, and he just tells her that she sounds so good screaming for him. Mary Jo is also realizing that while, yes, this is painful, it's also turning her on a little bit too. She hates that. She hates all of it throughout the whole book. After he's done, she just finds it hard to sleep. All of the anger that she's had just comes back, and she wants him to pay. She needs to figure out how to break this man's demeanor without breaking a rule. So she starts slamming her chain on the bedpost. He is not thrilled with this. He busts into her room.
This part was so funny though. Like
It
a
was,
petulant child. I'm gonna wait till you're sleeping and then I'm gonna just make a bunch of noise to wake you up.
she is a petulant child. So he's not thrilled and he busts into her room. And since she can't behave on her own, she's going to be sleeping in his bed.
Well, he tells her to stop, and so she stops, and then he goes back to bed, and she waits just long enough for him to walk back to bed, get settled into bed, and just a little bit for him to just settle in again for her to start clanging again. So he has to run back again. And that's when he's like, nope.
She fights him on this, but she eventually just lays there. And she lays awake until morning happens. She is feeling all of the emotions and she just lets one single tear roll down her cheek and then she's locking it up. The good news is this book did not have tear licking in it. There was other licking, but no tears. You
What
like
if they wanted tear licking?
I mean, they could just add it to all the other weird licking shit they do. The next morning, this man acts like nothing happened the night before. She is still allowed to roam the house, and then she hears a key in the doorknob, and a man walks in. She's kind of relieved at first and asks him to help her
Help me.
until she sees him smirking, and then she realizes, oh shit, this dude, not a friend. And she fucking bolts out the door and runs. Soon, though, this new mystery man catches her, starts to grope her, and this is the part where I wanted to give up.
This part was
And then he
wild.
spits in her mouth and makes her swallow it. And I was like, why are we going here? We learned that this mystery man's name is Cole, and the other man's name is Jaden. And they both realize that her feet are bleeding because obviously she ran out of the fucking house without shoes on. Honestly, I get that part though, because I mean, you know, and they take her back to the house to clean her up. We also get a small comment from Cole that hints that Jaden was a cop at one point. The next morning, Mary Jo's foot is killing her, but Jaden goes and gets her and brings her to the kitchen. But she's not allowed to walk. She has to crawl. And I mean, what other choice does she have? And then I was like, are we getting a bully? Like, what is happening right now? What is going on?
Well, she's been kidnapped.
But instead of letting her walk, they're like, no, you have to crawl like a.
Yeah. Like a slave, like a kidnapped. Yeah.
But she does.
All of this was fine. All of this was on brand. All of this was fine.
Great. And Jaden is taking a picture of her crawling, by the way.
Mhm.
Then Cole reaches down to feed her like a dog. Again, I hate all of this. And now at this point, I am wondering why the hell I chose this book. This is for sure not a me book, which is why we're doing it for Ariel's birthday month, but holy fuck balls. Like, no. Of course, she's looking at Jaden, and that man's pupils are huge. I did not like the consistent description of the pupils being blown out because they just I understand it, but she's like, I look at his pupils and they're blown out, and she says it a lot. There's got to be another description for that. So this man super turned on from her crawling and now eating out of Cole's hand. We learn that Cole and Jaden have known each other since they were kids. Cole makes a quip about her actually liking Jaden, which sets Mary Jo off into like uncontrollable sobbing. And Jaden's like, what the fuck did you do to her? Like, what the hell? He didn't do anything. He just, all of it. She gets up and walks to her room, telling both men to fuck off. Jaden is concerned. Normally, tears turn him on. But this felt a little different. This is when Cole learns that she didn't actually sign up for this. When she was like mentioning how like he had kidnapped her, she really meant that he kidnapped her. Cole, not very happy, and says that Jaden's just doing to her what was done to them. Do we know everything that happened to them? No, we don't. I don't even think we get like the full picture later on. We get like little bits and pieces later, but not enough. But then he's like, you know what? I'm with you. I just need to bury what's left of my morals first. And then he asks what they're gonna do with her. So he got over that pretty fucking quickly.
Weirdly fast,
Like
which makes
so,
me feel like there needed to be more fleshed out with all of that.
huh?
It was
He like
it was
within a
wild.
page, this man was over it.
He went from like, wait, you kidnapped a girl to,
Like I
okay,
thought you
let's
were just
go.
it's weird.
We needed more.
You think? Jaden knows it's time to continue the plan. Do we know the plan? No, we don't know the plan yet. Mary Jo, though, knowing she needs to kind of just bide her time a little bit, she just like spends hours in her room. She reads books. It's kind of like a mini vacation, but not really because you're kidnapped by two psychopaths. But I mean, in order to escape, you kind of got to like really think about a plan. She has a hard time sleeping though, but she wakes up in the middle of the night again, feeling that she's not alone. There's two men. It's the two men standing at the end of her bed wearing masks. And they just go, hello, pretty girl. Care to play? And she can't tell whose voice is whose just because they growl it. But I would feel like you would be able to tell because you've been around. I don't know. It is what it is. And she gets up and they toss.
It's the Melanite.
I mean, yeah, but voice wise. Like if she's
Melanite.
heard
She's still
Jaden
groggy.
speak,
I don't know. She's still groggy. They're growling.
she,
I
I
buy it.
mean, yeah, I guess she didn't sleep very much, so I guess it could make sense. So they just toss something at her and they tell her that she has 60 seconds to run, and if she gets away for longer than 5 minutes, they won't put it on her. And it's just a small blood. I don't actually know what the item is. She fucking bolts. She runs to the garage and she gets in there. They obviously find her because they're very good at this game, but she's pretty sure it's Cole who says this, but one of them just says, fighting turns me on, little one. They caught her in 2 minutes because she's never played this game, so she doesn't know her way around. And they're again very good at this. And she was planning on utilizing a cinder block. They're not happy about this part. So they let her go, and she realizes the reason that they found her so quickly was her footprints because her feet are still fucking bleeding. Idiot. When the game is all over, one of them tells her that things have been way too relaxed lately and that there's going to be some new rules happening. First, if her mouth gets super shitty with them, it's going to get punished. And basically, they're going to fuck her face if she gets mouthy. The second one is if they're playing, they call him sir. So this is Jaden. And that's the only way that she is to address him and that she will call Cole master. The old rules still apply unless either one of them tells her to run. She is not to hurt them and she doesn't run. So, like, she's not allowed to run unless they say she can. And the third one is that she is not allowed to touch herself unless they tell her to. She does not like that very much. And then she like sarcastically, because they're like, you need to thank me for not punishing you for the outburst of her basically telling them to go fuck themselves for her not touching herself. And she's is so dumb and she like does it mockingly.
Thank you.
And he's like, she doesn't learn. And then the hand tightens around her throat and they tell her to lower her pants. They're like, well, we told you the rules. And so
I mean, they
they
did.
tell her to play with herself. And
I
she
mean, they
does.
have been clear with the rules. It's
They
not like
have
they
been clear.
haven't.
They have. So they tell her to play with herself and she does. And Jaden is recording it and he tells her that if she stops, they're going to send it to Kyle. All of a sudden, she remembers Kyle. She's like, oh shit. And she's so guilty because she's touching herself in front of two men. But the men also really enjoy what is happening right now. But then they tell her to stop right before she's about to come because only good girls get to come, and she is not one. And then Jaden slips the ankle monitor around her ankle and tells her, you belong to me. You belong to him. We control the very air you breathe, your
Never really
orgasms.
thought you.
No. Where you go and what you do. You'll be our good little pet, or we'll punish you, and punishments only get worse from here. She tells him that she fucking hates him. I would too, though. Like, that's
Solid.
terrible. I I would hate it. Anyways, so Cole is going to help her back into the house and he fucking this was cute though. He makes her take a piggyback ride back to the house and she goes, "What fucking dimension am I in? Like this is like super whiplash."
They want you as their pet. It had potential.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she hears an engine going off, and it's just Jaden heading into town to get more supplies. And Cole calls her Lemon Drop, and it's just because of her hair and because she's tart. That's it. That is the reasoning. And
Seem
I
more for less.
mean, yeah. So when Jaden finally comes back, she's just sitting in her room. She hates everything that's been happening, but she also is like super horny about it throughout this. It is hard for her because she hates it but loves it at the same time, which I can understand. Again, the Stockholm syndrome is starting to set in already, and it's only been like 3 days, 4 days. I don't know, something like that. Not a lot of days. She does ask Jaden if she can cook. And he's like, I don't know. Can you? That reminds me of like when you ask like in school when you're like, can I go to the bathroom? But she really, really does want to cook. So he asks her to beg. And so she does. She begs him. And then she spends the next hour cooking up something and she makes enough for everybody. And they're all just sitting there being neutral about everything.
Domestic Eden
It's
together.
so wild. She's like, I do have a feeling though that this truce is going to be over as soon as the sun goes down. Guess what? She's right. There's no truce because they come into her room and Cole brings in a laptop and has porn pulled up on the screen and not just any porn. It's one that she always watches. And she goes, but how? Bitch, this man has stalked you. Of course he knows what porn you want. But they do tell her she is not allowed to touch the laptop or touch herself and they leave the room. And she's like, fuck, like shit, they know what I watch. This is dirty. And like she's embarrassed, but she's horny. And she is like, oh, maybe I can use the internet. And she's like, oh, I could do this. But there's like little warning bells going off in her head, which you should listen to those if those are going off in your head, considering the position that you're currently in. And she realizes she does not have internet access. And so she brings back up the thing. And then both men come in, and Cole's like, can't follow rules. Well, it turns out he can tell when she's clicked out of something. So this girl's just an idiot.
Whoa, no way.
And
Huh.
Jaden just says, you're gonna take his dick out because this now it's the punishment phase because she didn't listen to their rules. Again, though, like they do set the rules and she doesn't follow them.
It's not that
So,
hard. I mean, really.
I mean, he is hard, but it's the point. He tells her that she's gonna take Cole's dick out and then she's gonna suck it. And she's gonna be a good little whore. And she's gonna touch herself while she does it. And she loves this. She tells them, like, fuck you, but deep down, she loves it. And then Cole just like shoves his dick in her mouth while Jaden also like pushes her head and then she immediately gags. I also hate that. I get it. I hate it. And so she blows Cole. After all of that, they're going to shower her because apparently she needs to be cleaned up, which is good. She really, really needs a shower because she has not showered since she got there, which is gross. And in the bathroom where the shower is, Cole's there, and he is going to be in there while she is showering. But he says that it's so that she doesn't fall asleep while standing up. I mean, I feel like of the two of them, Cole is the least psychopathic of the two of them, my opinion. And then we
Oh, yeah.
get, I like sometimes when you get Jaden's chapters and they're really short. There's only like a couple, but all he can think about is like he is obsessed with her. And, it's fine. He can still make it work with his plan, but now he is keeping her and she belongs to them. And he does not think he will ever let her go. Again, still don't know what the fucking the plan is. What the fucking the plan is? I don't even know what that sentence was. I
I don't know
still
what the
don't know.
fuck in your English is.
My English has left the building forever, permanently. Yeah. But then we also get Cole, and he's having, I'm assuming it's like a flashback because he is staring at the tiles in this bathroom and he just gets something and it just says, what a good boy, make daddy feel good, which also grossed me out. And I was like, great, where the fuck is this going to now? And it just was him having it's not real. It's just a little flashback happening. It wasn't really put out there that that was what was happening, but like in context, you can kind of get it.
It was obvious, but again, we could have used more.
Mm-hmm. Because it was just like a little brief thing. Mary Jo has so much shame, especially because she came for the people who kidnapped her. And she also loves it. And she loves how they speak to her, but it also makes her hate them more. And she really needs to get the fuck out of there. But she asks, over breakfast, if Jaden ever got the ATV fixed. Turns out, apparently, that she can help fix it because of her dad. So that is about the entire backstory we get of that. And I'm like, okay, sure. It sucks because we get such little tidbits of some history that never get
It had so much potential. Like I said, we could have had
more.
I want more.
You always want more.
But in this state, like
Yeah.
it needed it. And it just needed it to be functionable. And it needed it to be complete because without it, it was just a I kidnapped you and you're my prisoner.
So as he is fixing this ATV, and of course he brought her with him to help fix, and she's just staring at him, and he's got a tattoo. He's got multiple tattoos, especially on his sleeve, and she notices a little date, and that the dates look fresh, and it says 22nd of November, and she realizes, oh, it's got to be close to the
That was only
22nd, so it's only 3 months
3 months
old.
ago.
And she asks him what it's for, and he just says, my mother, and that's it. And she's like, oh shit. She also sees what the issue with the ATV is like super quickly, but she doesn't say that. And she's like, oh, just,
I'm gonna drag this
I
out. This
don't know.
potential of being able to be in this garage around all these parts and
And weapons, like,
potential weapons.
yeah, exactly. But she's still checking him out. And he's like, oh, you like what you see, kitten? Girl, stop staring at him. If you don't want to put across that you like this man, probably stop checking him out. I mean, according to her, he is so fucking hot. I mean, I do like a lot of tattoos. That's pretty nice. He's also like 6 foot, like 2 or 6'4". He's a very tall dude. He's a big man. And she's like, "Ah, I'm cold. Let's go back inside." And he says, "No, wait." And then he kisses her. And he kisses this woman fucking deep. And he tells her to get nasty with him so that he can punish her. She wants to punch him in the face, but she's like, he'll probably enjoy this. And he decides to pick her up and put her over his shoulder. And she's like, fucking put me down. And he carries her, brings her to his bedroom, throws her onto his bed, and then rips her leggings off. This woman does not have a lot of pair of pants, by the way, and she gets mad about this later on as they keep ripping her shit off. And she's like, yo, what the fuck? So he rips her pants off and then he eats her out. So that's great. And she
For
like
her.
for her internally she fucking is not thrilled about this because she doesn't want any of this to happen, but it's still happening anyways. And of course, Cole is standing there watching. And he goes, "Oh," after she's done and after she finishes, he goes, "Oh, that was a hot lemon drop." And she goes, "That's not my fucking name." He's like, "Sure it is. You know, you open your mouth and make this little cry when you come. It's cute." Again, it's weird because he's like the least psychopathic, but also like, what the fuck, dude? Like, yeah. But then, she goes downstairs and then she remembers what else she saw in this garage was there's 2 sets of keys on the wall by the garage doors, and they are the keys to the cars. And she's like, you know what? I gotta wait until sunset. Girl,
She's gonna try.
she hasn't like fully, she's gotta try, but like, come on, man. Good Lord. So a little later, she starts crying. She tries. Sorry. She tries, but her tears are not coming out and her emotions are not really happening. She hates it. So instead, she punches her hand through into a mirror and they come knocking and they're like, "Open the door." She goes, "No, I'm good." She basically pretends to have a period. And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "No, it's fine. I'm gonna bleed all over my," like he's like, "You need to open this door." And she's like, "I'm gonna bleed all over my clothes." And he just goes, "I'll get you pads." She's like, "And my doll and chocolate." And they ask her what kind does she want and like, do you have a heavy flow wings? And I'm like, these men have like it's such whiplash. It was just done. It's so funny. I mean, that's a
They
caring man
played right
though.
into the
It
they
really did.
played right into her hand.
They really did for these smart stalker kidnapper men. They played right into it. But it's fine. They, take care of her. And, her plan was hinging on Cole going to chain her to the bed, not Jaden
It
leaving.
hinged on Jaden going to the store to get all the stuff, and
Yeah. And of course, you know, Cole does eventually come in and tells her to go back to sleep. And she had a glass spice container. I don't know where she got it
yeah.
from. Fucking no idea. Idea where this container came from.
So in explicit detail, it explained how she stashed the paper clip prior to this. I don't think we mentioned
Oh,
that.
yeah, I forgot about that
But
part.
but in nowhere was it mentioned that she stashed a spice container. I think
I
it's like
was
onion
also
powder or
confused
something.
about the
I
spice
reread
container.
this section like 10 times because at first I thought it was from when she punched the mirror, she grabbed a shard of the glass.
I do too.
And then I was so confused when, you know, as we go
So she
on,
magically has a glass
and
spice container. Don't worry,
that
that
she
comes
had
back.
stashed from the
hmm
kitchen.
As he gets closer to her, she takes it and slams it into the back of Cole's head. And she's looking and she's escaping. And she knows though that Jaden's gonna know as soon as she gets out the door because of the
Well,
Uncle
so
Minor.
she slams the container into Cole's head to knock him out for a second and then cuffs him to the bed
Thank you.
and then takes his socks and shoes from him
Well, she takes
and
this,
puts on his socks and
but the
takes his
shoes are too big.
shoes just in case.
Yeah. And she grabs his knife as well. And she heads to the door and she goes, "This is when the countdown really begins. I don't know the code to the alarm because every time they've put the code in, they've blocked her from seeing it." And she goes, "Jaden's going to know as soon as I get out the door." I take a deep breath and run outside. And then fucking Cole's waking up and the alarm's going off. And he goes, "What the fuck?" And then it all hits him. Oh, shit.
Spice containers there on the floor.
Yep. And he like goes to get up and he hears the clank and realizes he is fucking cuffed. And he goes, "Shit." and he realizes she took his socks and shoes. And then he picks up the phone because Jaden's been calling him. Jaden's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he goes, "It would appear our little prey has managed to escape for the moment," which is so downplaying. And Jaden is dead ass silent.
He's
And
so
he's like, "Don't
mad.
freak out. We'll get her. We'll get her." He's like, "I've been calling you for 5 minutes." He goes, "I was indisposed. She knocked me over the head." And he's like, "I shouldn't have fucking left." But then he's like, "We disconnected that fuse on my car. She's not going anywhere." So this woman thinks that she's going to steal this car, but the car doesn't work. And then Cole, though, is just thrilled with this and that she is going to be so much fun to hunt. Jaden comes back and Cole informs that she has his knife, that she has cut off the tracker to her ankle, and that Cole hopes that she uses the knife. And Jaden's kind of like, "What did she get you with?" And he goes, "Onion powder." And he just goes, "The championship wrestler, 15 years of experience, taken down by a small woman and seasoning." And Cole just goes, "I think I'm in love." Jaden's like, "Well then, lover boy, let's go get our girl." Like, what the fuck?
They're having a
And they
grand old time.
they are really having a grand old time. They go out, and Cole had spent a lot of his high school years hunting in the woods. So Jaden's going to let him take the lead in tracking her. Jaden doesn't think that there's any way that her feet have held up that long. And they think that she must have like walked up the stream. And Jaden's concerned that she's going to get frostbite. Cole
Especially
informed,
since her feet were already injured to begin with.
right. I mean, that's not great. I feel
Mhm.
like the girl could have a little bit more brain cells. That would be really lovely.
She's just trying to survive, man.
I mean, she is, but bro. So Cole has tracked her and he goes, "Up, she's got her. She's getting tired." I'm not a hunter or a tracker, so I don't know how you can tell by all this, but I
So they did talk about it a little bit. They could
gotcha.
see the marks in the mud and the brush where things were snapping and how she was being kind of more careless with her tracks and how she was being t too tired to like either cover her tracks or she would slip and fall here or there.
And Ariel is now officially an expert hunter.
Don't ask for tour guides.
No. So poor Mary Jo. The socks that she's wearing are completely soaked. Her feet are numb. The shoes didn't fit, so they were only going to slow her down. But
Hmm.
the rest of her at least is staying really warm, which is probably not a good thing. You need your feet. But she can hear them saying kitten. She's like, "Fuck." And they're like, "Someone's been a bad girl." They're taunting this poor bitch. And she's like just trying. And then all of a sudden, a hard body just slams right into her, and it's Jaden. And he tells her she shouldn't have run. She takes the knife out, but Cole appears in front of her, and she gets pressed up against a tree, and she goes to slash the knife, and Cole like grips her wrist, and then she ends up dropping the knife. She's fighting super hard, which I feel like if I've learned anything, if I were in this woman's position, I would have learned that fighting them only makes it happen even more. But I also think
They like it.
she really likes it too. Yeah. And
Which,
then,
again, could have made it a different, I don't know.
yeah, there was a
That's
lot.
why I thought this book was going, and then it's just, I don't know.
And then her pants get cut. So he does it to every single layer of her clothing. And she is now cold. And then Cole looks violent, by the way, and he takes something out of his pocket, which is the spice shaker. And he just goes, "I'm all for being fair. You fucked me with this, so I will fuck you with it." And then he spits on it, and then he puts his hand between her legs. And
Yummy.
he ends up like he ends up fucking her with a spice shaker, and she can feel it. And it's like
I would hope so.
I would hope that wouldn't burn. Like, oh, there's garlic in there. Onion
It's
in there.
onion.
Sorry.
Yeah, but
She's
I
gonna have a
hope it's
very onion
closed.
vagina, like oniony.
Gross. I would hope it's closed.
I don't fucking know. So anyways, so they
Ugh.
he fucks her with it and she comes. So there's that. And then she feels a little sharp pain in her neck. They drug her again. So you're
Shocking.
aware. Shocking. Then she wakes up and realizes that she's obviously not alone again. And she feels like a weight on the back of her legs. It's not a weight, it's a body. And they are tattooing her against her will on her back. I hate it. But he just says, Stop, you don't want to ruin the pretty piece I'm putting on you. Yeah, these motherfuckers are tattooing her.
They're tattooing their names to
And
her,
she feels super sick to her stomach
branding
too.
her
Yeah, I know. And like they're a little concerned that they gave her
because
like too much drugs. And they're like, Oh, I didn't give
she
her any
starts
more than last time.
vomiting.
Yeah, she is not having a good time. So yeah, he tattooed their names between the two little dimples in her back. So that's great. And then we
Fun
get,
times.
huh?
Fun times.
So much fun times. And then we get a little snippet from Jaden, and it's him having a nightmare. And it's not a great nightmare, but it's just small. That's all we get. So then it's been a couple days, and Mary Jo has just been in her room for a few days. She is angry and tired, and Cole just comes to get her, and he's taking her to his old room. And he just brings her
Mm.
in there, and he starts whittling in front of her and is just having a conversation. And he goes, Oh, what do you like? I think of things I like. And then I just emerge because he's going to have her also start whittling. And they talk about horses for some reason.
Because he
And
likes to whittle horses.
that's true. And she asks him if he has ever had one. And he goes, No. You know, we were white trash, hardly money for mom's habit, let alone food. So we learn he does not have a very good childhood. We learn that she just goes, Food. I like food. Which makes sense because her whole social media thing is her cooking. And it's cooking cheap meals, which is what she had started when she was a broke as fuck. And then Cole comes out and just says, Sage was obsessed with you when they were together. Who the fuck is Sage? And we just learned that Sage watched all her videos and made her recipes and talking Jaden's ear off about her. And she asks why he hates her. And he's like, he doesn't hate you. I feel like there's a fine line between love and hate. But we don't learn who Sage is yet, so sorry. We just learned that Sage is a person.
We'll tell you about her real soon.
Yep. So Jaden, whatever day, she wakes her up and says, Hey, we're going out. He is not in a good mood, by the way. Not in a good mood at all. And he goes, You wanted to leave so bad. Now you're going. Let's go. So they are leaving. And he tells her, these are the rules. You sit there like a good girl and be quiet. It's pretty simple. Do you understand? Something in this man has snapped. I mean, other things have snapped throughout this whole thing, but he is not in a great mood right now. And he puts a blindfold on her. She does not want this blindfold, but who cares? It's it's not up to her. She gets one anyways. And they drive, and when they finally get to where they are, Jaden, gets out because they're in a parking lot somewhere. And she asks, Where are they? And Cole tells her that it's not relevant to her at all, and that she'll soon find out. And she goes, You know what? No, you don't get to drag me out here and then not answer anything. Tell me what's going on. And Cole just tells her, Do you think I won't hurt you? I will, and I'll enjoy it. Stop pushing your luck. And do not push Jaden. Not today. So clearly, something has snapped in this man. And even Cole knows not to fuck with Jaden. We learn that Sage, whoever this woman is, has moved, and that he's not going to find her, and that it would have made her safe. And he thinks it's funny. But then his thoughts just, go back to his little kitten. The fear that she had was just so unbearably sexy. But he walks to the side of Sage's house because he knows her. Why did you make that face? They went, What?
Yeah. You're so dramatic.
Always. Is it me? Am
Yes.
I the drama?
Yes.
Have you
I'm
seen
going to,
you?
yes.
So he walks to the side of her house and he knows all of her stuff because he keeps up with her. And she's got a dog named Harriet. This dog also knows him. So he walks to the side of her house and Harriet greets him and is sniffing him and spinning in excited circles, and he pets her. And you just hear Sage calling for Harriet. And before she can even think about it, he just appears at her side, grabs her neck with a gun to her ribs, and says, Not a word. Thought you could hide from me? She's like,
Nah,
Oh,
bitch.
Jaden. He says, say goodbye to
Say
Harriet,
hello to my little
little
friend.
friend. So he knocks this bitch out, and you can tell he just has rage for this woman a lot. And then Cole and Mary Jo are just kind of chilling and sitting in silence. She thinks about getting out of the car, but no, because both of these men have guns and she doesn't want to deal with all that. She sees a shadow and it's Jaden, and he's carrying a person with him over his shoulder. And she can see the girl when he puts her in, and she just thinks she looks familiar. Where have I seen this person before? Like, why do I know her? Jaden just looks back and he goes, have you enjoyed your time, kitten? And she goes, no. And yeah. And he goes, oh. And she's trying to like, and he like leans into her and starts to smell her.
Weird.
It's all weird. All of it's weird. And she's like, no. And she tries to back up and he goes, oh, you should know better than to try and escape me. And then he pulls her pants down and then he eats her out again. It's like, if you think you'll get away, you're mistaken. You're my prize and I'm going to claim you. And Cole's just in the front seat and Jaden crawls up over her and then his dick is in her face. And he tells her to suck it and to swallow and that she will never get away from him. There is no escape. When they finally stop and go back, she asks who she is. She's like, I know her. And Cole just looks at her, pity in his gaze, but then it's gone. Cole is like, she wants to take a shower. And Cole's just like, I don't know. You being covered in blood is the hottest thing I've seen since Jaden took you in the car. Why does she have blood on her? I don't know why she has blood on her.
I
Is it
remember this
still
part because
left
I was
over?
confused about this because I was wondering if it was still
Okay.
left over from and then I was like, oh, I guess maybe they haven't let her shower since
I'm
then.
assuming that she's still bloody from all of the wood stuff
Yeah.
because they let her shower like once a week because that's not gross. Her vagina pH has got to be
Lots of
so off right now.
vague shit.
Yeah. Anyways, she's like, I'm not the one who kidnapped two people and watched someone while someone was raped. And Cole's just like, did you not enjoy it? Do you not get off on being taken and forced? Did you not enjoy every other time we've touched you, chased you, made you come? And she's just like, that doesn't make it right. And he just goes, right? Are you saying your fantasies are wrong? So he's just taunting her. And she vows to never let them make her come again. She's going to break that vow. Don't worry about it, guys. Jaden ends up cuffing her to bed at night again, and she can't sleep. And then she sits up and she goes, oh my God, the paperclip that I stole from Cole's office a while ago is still under the mattress.
Like a month ago.
Holy shitballs. To be fair, she hasn't been chained up in a while, so she hasn't needed it. So she does eventually paperclip her way out of these handcuffs, which is great. But then she is like sneaking through the house, and Cole apparently does not realize that she has seen the code to the store. So she punches it in and she walks out the door quietly, and then she fucking books it to the garage because this is where they're keeping Sage, apparently. And she gets there and she asks this woman what her name is. And the lady's like, he didn't tell you? Can you get me out of these? And she's like, oh, I left the paperclip in the cabin. Like, why would you
What
take
kind
it
of
with you?
rescue mission is this?
It's a terrible rescue mission. Mary asks why they took her. And Sage, we know she's Sage, just says he's going to hurt me. That's not an answer, Sage. That is not an answer to
She's
the question.
drugged.
I know,
And she's, yeah.
but it's still not an answer. So Mary asks
Okay.
how she knows Jaden, and we learn that Sage is his ex. Dun dun dun. And then even more dun 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 because Jaden appears and he goes, what are you doing out
Well,
here?
before that, Sage asks
How she met Jaden.
how she met Jaden, and
She just
she's
says,
like,
he kidnapped me.
right, and she doesn't believe her.
He's
Sage
like,
doesn't
you're
believe
not
her.
together?
Well, she just doesn't believe her. She's like, yeah, okay, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And then Jaden appears and he goes, what are you doing out here? And Mary is pissed about Sage being out here and is like, you just can't keep her out here like an animal. You got to let her go. She didn't do anything. You can't just take people and say they're yours where people let go of me. Like, he's just trying to get her in. He brings her inside and wrestles her to the couch. And then he drops on top of her and he, like, basically pins her down. And she's like, get the fuck off of me. And he's like, no. She also wants to stop feeling all the feelings that he's making her feel.
I got a feeling.
And she continues to fight him. And then she eventually falls asleep. And when she wakes up, Jaden's laying next to her. Apparently, they slept together all night and they're still alone. And he tells her to stop moving. And, she's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And he goes, Oh, you can just do it in a minute. Because they're just cuddling. And then Cole's making breakfast and she's asking if they're going to give any to Sage. And he's like, No. She's like, I'm not eating until you let her eat. And Cole is just like, You're spicy this morning. Like, what is going on with these people? Ah, yeah.
This
And Jaden,
scene was wild.
there's so many scenes in this book are wild. So Jaden's just telling her she is going to eat and he is going to make sure she eats and she is not allowed to go on a hunger strike for this woman. And she asks, What bad thing that this woman did? Like, break up with you? What, as a matter of fact, what bad thing did I do to you? I've never even met you before. Cole comes up around and he goes, Oh, that smart mouth. I love it. I'm like, Oh my God, stop. What is going on? But they basically force feed her so she will eat by shoving food in her mouth and shutting her nose. So she literally has no choice but to swallow this food. But she notices that it has a little weird taste to it. Guess what? They drugged her syrup. Fuck.
Yeah, and I didn't understand where this was really
Neither
going,
did
but
I. Cole does call Jaden out for it, and he goes, For the record, I think that was kind of a dick move. And Jaden's just like, I'm a dick. That is the most true thing that this man has ever said. This is where I also didn't know where things were going because then he takes out his shibari ropes and he goes, It
right,
feels good to
like,
touch them again. I'm like, Are we now throwing shibari into this? Like, what is
and
going on?
no backstory, no nothing, no, right.
Literally nothing. And they strip her and he suspends her
Spends her
into
in the rope.
the
Yeah,
doorway. And yeah, and she just hangs there. And it's weird because the picture has her upside down. So is she upside down?
I think so because when
She's
she
passed
came
out.
to, she said that her head, she could feel so much pressure in her head. But
Gotcha.
again, super vague. I don't
It's
know.
so vague. But yeah, so she does wake up and she is like, I see things. She's also kind of like,
You dead people.
I mean, everything's foggy and she thinks that she can see Sage sitting in a chair. And she goes, Oh no, she's not sitting. She's tied to it. She's probably still sitting, but also tied to it. I think that it's still the same thing.
Like I said, fucking wild.
It's wild.
Whole
So she
thing is
asks,
wild.
What the fuck did Sage take? And Jaden just says, That shouldn't be what you're worried about. Scares the crap out of her, by the way.
Uh,
And he is playing a video and she can hear voices and music and laughter. And she goes, This sounds so familiar. And Jaden's like, Oh, you remember that? And he holds the phone to her. And it was the club that her and Kyle had gone to. The woman that she made out with was Sage. That Cole went home and cried for 2 hours. And the thing is Sage had
whoa.
taken this video. And of course, Mary Jo does not remember this much at all because she was trashed off of tequila again. Don't do
Tequila.
tequila. It's
If there's
bad.
anything you've learned on this podcast, it's
Don't drink
tequila
tequila.
is bad. Don't
And
drink
in the
tequila.
video, Sage is saying, Say something to my abusive ex. And then they just start making out. And Mary Jo says, Happy New Year, fucking asshole. May you never get laid again. So, we learn
Which
Sage,
again, we have no backstory to any of this.
no,
Abusive ex, nothing, none of it.
none of it. So it does come back to her now. She was so drunk that night, but seeing this kind of really brings some of the stuff back. And Jaden looks at Sage and he just goes, You found out I still had my mom's phone and you sent it to that because I blocked you. Again, no story as to
And if
what
he's
the
the
fuck.
abusive ex, why did he block her? It's the whole, it's just
Yes.
all, I don't know.
Yeah. And then he tells Sage, he goes, I want you to watch this, Sage, and I want you to think about why I'm doing this while I fuck your little girlfriend. And what? And she's, oh God, I don't even know. It's just wild. And she's still kind of like in and out with the drugging that had happened, or her being asleep thing. Well, drugging
They
because
because they
she had been,
roofied her.
because they roofied her in her pancake syrup. And he just tells her, You're not allowed to be asleep for this. I'm going to fuck you. And when I'm done, you will be ruined. So she hates him. still turned on, doesn't even matter. And he is going to fuck her in front of Sage, and he does. Cole is standing behind Sage and holding her head up, forcing Sage to watch them, but Sage has her eyes closed. Which, why does Sage get to close her eyes, but Mary Jo gets to stay awake?
Right?
Don't get it. And they fuck. And then she falls asleep because she's tired, and she wakes up in the morning whenever, and she's in Jaden's bed because she's like, oh, it's warm. Duh, there's bodies. You should know by now that like all these people are you're gonna wake up with bodies next to you. Let the bodies hit the floor. Sorry. We're here, baby. We're here. And she's like, what am I doing here? And he just goes cuddling, which must say is very uncharacteristic for my snarky girl, but I love it. It's Cole snuggling her. She's in Jaden's bed, but it's Cole snuggling her. Does Cole not have his own bed?
He does, remember?
I know. I'm just saying, why is Cole in Jaden's bed? As you can see, I very much gave up.
He usually sleeps on the floor.
Yeah, like a dog.
Like a dog. Yeah.
So Jaden had actually left. He went out to go get groceries because, as Cole says, you insisted on feeding that woman. Okay, we still don't know all of this other stuff. And
we know nothing. I think it's safe to say at this point we know nothing.
We are Jon Snow. I know nothing. Okay. So she asks Cole, what did Jaden do to her last night? And Cole's like, why don't you ask him? And she says, I'd like to, but he isn't here right now. So I'm asking you. And Cole's like, well, he didn't hurt you. She's like, yeah, I asked what he did, not what he didn't do. And she's like, do I need birth control? And he's, what? Do I need birth control? This was also wild and randomly thrown in here.
Do you speak English?
And he just crossed his arms. And she's like, that's all I needed to know. And I feel sick to my stomach. And she wants to go take a shower. And she goes, why am I still here? In her brain. She doesn't say this out loud. Why am I still here? Like, why haven't I tried harder to leave? Something is clearly wrong with me. A lot is wrong with you, but we will not get into that.
I mean,
so Jaden comes back and he has gotten more of her meals. And she's like, thanks. And that he'll need to let Sage in because it's too cold outside and she's going to die before he can fuck with her. She's like, I'm assuming that's why I'm still alive. You weren't done with either one of us. And he goes, no, you're alive because you belong to us. And she's like, yeah, I'm yours, whatever. Oh, I forgot I have HIV. Serves you right. Because she's just trying to like fuck with them.
Yep.
They know this. And she goes, and I expect you to go back and get me plan B because she does not want to have babies. And he's like, no, you will do whatever I decide. If I want to see you carrying my child, then I will. If I want to get you birth control, then I will. You belong to me. And I said no.
This man clearly listened to too much Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but that is not. Yeah. But this makes her angry, turned on. She's got a lot of lust going on and a lot of anger. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Would you like the list?
She keeps trying to like talk to Sage, but they keep her super drugged up. So she doesn't know if it's so that she won't talk to her or what. And she just stares off.
Well, Sage also thinks that she's kind of like in on this also too a little bit because she thinks she's there by her own volition.
Yeah. On the fourth night, since Sage came inside, she finally convinced them to let Mary shower this bitch. Because apparently she's really starting to smell. And she finally, like, as they're showering and it's dead ass silent and Mary can't take any part of the silence because it's Mary. She asks Sage what he did to her. And Sage just says he told me he didn't want me. He couldn't stand to look at me, that I'm a whore and a slut and the world would be better off without me. And not to let him hurt her. He'll get close to you and then break your heart and that it's just a game. Then we learned that Sage and Jaden had been together for 9 years. 9 years. That's so much. And Sage just goes, girl, you're hot. You could have anyone. Why him? And she goes, I didn't have a choice. And Sage is like, oh, yes, love will make you do crazy things. She goes, it's not fucking love. Like, what the hell? Sage is clearly delusional. She is living in a Delulu land. Jaden loves the fact that now Mary Jo sleeps between the two of them. The first night, she refused to touch them, but they've gotten more relaxed now. But he is having a dream, from what I gather. How do we know this? It's simply because of the way it's written. That's it. No context. but he's having, it's not even a dream. He's just having a fucking nightmare. And
Flashback night. Yeah.
it is going through so many things. And he sees his mom dead and he's trying to bring her back. And then people show up in this dream and saying he shot him, he killed him. And then the judge in this dream is the man that he killed. And it just, there's a lot of stuff going on and he's not having a good time. And he just like, he's, where's my gun? And he wakes up and he is like swinging and trying to find a gun. And Cole's like, it's me. You're having a flashback. You're safe. And it takes him a little bit because then he gets the gun and swings around with a fucking pistol in his hand. This they should put these guns away. They need to lock this shit up.
Well, they did. He went to the safe.
Oh,
He flung out of bed,
oh
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
hear
And
the
he went,
beeping,
okay.
and
So maybe they should
that's
find a
when
way to
Cole
protect.
ran to.
They should probably find a way to better keep track of this if Jaden has nightmares like this, because clearly this man should not be around any form of weapon. Cole tells Mary Jo not to move. He's not going to hurt her. And then Jaden's just like, what are you doing here? And Cole's like, you're at the cabin. They aren't here. They're dead. You had a bad dream. And then he takes the gun. So, sweet baby Jesus. So, after all this, Jaden goes out for a run in the middle of the night with no coat on, and it's cold. And we kind of get just like tiny little pieces of things from Cole saying, he hasn't seen Jaden like this in a very long time. And then a little memory hits him when they were used to be playing by the river. And then Jaden would bring these little Game Boy case that Cole was super jealous of, but he didn't know that the Game Boy was a gift from Pat. Who is Pat? Don't know yet. Sorry. And he didn't
Sorry, I'm not
know
here right now. I'm kind of
until he got
busy.
his own, and not until he told me to start making him feel good. So, whoever this Pat is molested both of these boys. That's fun. There's just so much. It's just wild. So then we learn Jaden has something to do today and that he needs Cole to keep her distracted. And he just nods. Okay, sounds great. Mary Jo hears the door open and fucking Cole's there. And he goes, oh, she awakens. She's like, what are you doing? And where is Jaden? And she goes, I try to move slowly. I feel like I'm being stalked. Bitch, you've been stalked this whole time, but okay. And Cole wants to play a game, which I wouldn't want to play. And he just says, the game is keep away. You keep that pretty body away from me and you win. And he gives her a knife. And he says, if I get 3 cuts, I'm done. You win. And she goes, if I win, you let me go. He goes, well, you better run, little one. And she doesn't. She takes off to the basement. I feel like I would not run to the basement. That is, but you know what? She wants to get caught. Let's be honest here. He does end up catching up to her and she slashes him. This motherfucker, by the way, is cheating.
He put on a jacket after. Yeah, she ran.
Motherfucker. But Cole says first, there were no rules against that. And second, you got me through it, you bloodthirsty girl. And he takes the knife from her hand and he flicks it up to her neck. But she's like scared, turned on. This lady gets turned on by so many things. And the knife is like digging in a little bit. And he like slices her. And then he licks the cut that he just did. And then he rips her leggings off again. And he brings the knife to her vagina. And I hate it so much. And he like runs it through her across her clit and then he makes her lick it. It's got blood and her own shit on it. Yep. And then he fucks her. So there's that. And then as he is fucking her, she realizes that there's wetness around her neck. Well, turns out he got cut. It wasn't even her blood. It was his blood. So they're going to go take a shower afterwards. And as he's cleaning her up, she notices different scars all over his back and she asks if she hurt him. And he said no. And he can see like her brain going and he goes, I can hear your brain running. Stop that. It's not a story you want to hear. So he doesn't tell her about all of the scars that are all over him. I don't actually know if we even learn about them. We can just
Nope.
assume.
We just get to draw. We get to make our own guesses,
Yep.
draw our own conclusions.
Yeah. So they eat and everything, and then she asks who Jaden was looking for last night. And she asks, someone scared him and hurt him. And he's like, yeah. And she goes, what happened? Because it was from the dream. And he goes, why don't you just ask him? And she just goes, ask the man who kidnapped his ex and forced her to relapse and snatched me up just to play games with her head. And Cole tells her that there's more than that, and that Sage is not innocent. Everything that goes around comes around, which that's cryptic. And Mary Jo just asks, will you ever let me go, Cole? And he goes, no, little one, I don't think I will. And then we have Jaden pushing Sage to her knees in the dirt, and that he has dragged her out to the woods. Is dragging her to a grave. And he just says he died in the end like he lived, like a coward. Don't worry, we cut off his dick and balls before he went, stuck them in his eye sockets while he was still alive, naturally. Fucking what? It's so crazy. So then we learn he tells her like this is where I put people who cross me. Should I bury you with his fingers in your pussy? What's left of them anyway? Would you like to wear his wedding ring too, since you seem to want to play his girl? Oh, what? He flings Sage over his shoulder because she is making his revenge just feel so empty.
Well, he's kept her so drugged up, she's just not
I
really
know.
responding. And yeah.
You would think he would know this, but then he just thinks of his little kitten and wants to know what she would look like taking Cole and I at the same time, which never happens.
So they spit roaster, that's what he means.
Great, but that's not what I wanted.
No, but that's nor I.
When
But
I think how she would look stretched
mhm.
taking both of us at the same time, I do not
Yes.
think spit roast.
Because where's the stretch
That's
in
a
that?
little different.
The stretch in that.
Stretched around both of us with that perfect tight little body. Okay, not a spit roast. This is not a spit roast. We're not roasting marshmallows either.
I mean,
Ugh.
marshmallows are good.
So Jaden starts like stomping back to the cabin with Sage, and he takes her to her room, and then he comes back out and he asks what happened, and she goes, "It was nothing.
Because he
Just
sees blood on Mary Jo's neck.
thank you." And she was just telling him that they were playing with knives, and it's not like the book playing with knives. But then Jaden says, "Let's play another game, Cole. Let's see how much she can take of us at once." And she's like, "Both of them at the same time? Not in the way we
Girl,
want it." Again.
what you wish for.
And then they spit roast her. So that's great.
We were
The
vague on the details with everything.
They
You
were
think we
so
were going to
vague in the
get that?
details. And then at one point, he like talks about wanting to also fuck her ass. I feel
Wild.
like if you're going to talk about it, you should do it in the book. Don't bring it up if you're not going to do it. If I've learned
Right.
anything from Ariel with this, is that you just don't bring it up unless you're going to do it.
False promises.
Yeah. So they don't do that. So that's great. So that's
I
fine.
think Crystal's ruining is complete.
Ugh, I'm just destroyed. So then Jaden tells her that they're going to go shopping because she needs clothes because all of her fucking clothes are getting destroyed. And she's like, is this a test? Jaden's like, not unless you make it one. So they go out to go shopping. And they tell her that she is not allowed to try to get help. She cannot pass a message because if she does, that person she passed the message to is going to die. And they will make it quiet and discreet and don't make these innocent people have the same fate. So they threaten her when they go. She doesn't have any money, but that's fine because she's not paying for anything. And she gets some assistance. And this dude,
this was weird. I
this
don't
was
know.
also
I'm
weird.
just
Didn't know what
yeah.
was happening, but it's fine. This guy like is kind of hitting on her, and Jaden sees this happening, and Jaden like pulls her away before anything else can happen because the guy's like, I can treat a pretty thing like you better than that asshole. And then they get in the car and they drive. But so this is also weird because somehow this man is following them
Well, yes, but so Cole is in the passenger seat with a gun to him.
in the other car.
They
Okay.
explain it.
So anyway, they're going to punish this man for touching what is theirs, basically. He's like, you think what you can put your filthy hands on something that doesn't belong to you? I don't think this girl belongs to either one of them, but that is besides the point. But they do
Long
threaten
story
him.
short, this
They're not
dude
going
is
to
a
kill him,
quivering
but
mess at the end and he
yeah,
learns his lesson.
his lesson. It's just, it's stupid. Don't understand any part of that and
That's
why that
why I
was thrown
said,
in
meh,
there.
nice to
No idea. So Mary Jo listens to them detoxing Sage and also making her get high again. So back and forth, which is like pure fucking torture. And then one of the afternoons, Jaden tosses her a jacket and asks if she wants to go on a ride with him on the ATV. So they do, and they actually go to an old house. They turn up, and it's an old two-story cabin, and it's very, very abandoned. And she's like, where are we? And he goes, one of my favorite places to come with Cole as a teen. So it turns out they own the place and that Jaden's not a cop anymore, and Cole's family apparently has a lot of money. While Cole's family did grow up poor, his mom married his stepdad when they were teens. And she asked Jaden why he became a cop. And Jaden just says, I don't know. I was young and wanted to save the world. I didn't realize that saving the world still doesn't help you save yourself. And he asks her why she became an influencer. And she just says, for fun. And then Mary asks, why'd you leave being a cop? Jaden just says, tired of the people. Someone tried to kill me one night and I shot him. And that was the beginning of the end for me. And he's like, why did you date Kyle? She's like, what? That is kind of a random question to ask. He's like, you knew he could never make you happy. He bored you even, and yet you stayed. Why? I loved him.
I mean, love.
Love, 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 love. And she asks him if he knows anything about love. He doesn't, apparently. So it's fine. they, they go back to the house, and Jaden tells her that he changed the code and that she'd make it 30 feet down the driveway before he was balls deep in her. So that's fun. And she goes and knocks on Sage's door. And as usual, Sage doesn't answer, and she just goes in to the bedroom. And then Sage talks and just says, I liked all your videos, you know. I'd never tried eggs in my ramen before. Made Jaden try them too. And we learned that Jaden broke up with her. So she's not the one who broke up with Jaden, and that he had broken up with her after the shooting. He just wasn't the same anymore. They had had a lot of issues. And Sage says, you know, I got mad after he broke up with me. I wanted him to see what he lost, make him realize that he should have treated me better. So I hooked up with Pat, his stepdad. Disgusting. By the way, this woman, trash. Throw her in the trash. I don't even care that I want her to die.
She's all
Then we
like, I
also learn,
didn't
obviously,
know.
Pat is a pedophile, but she
And
says that she
she's like, I
didn't
didn't
know that
know.
he was. I don't know. I don't know about that. But she goes to them and tells them that Sage is breaking and it's past the point of return, and that she's a human being, and whatever she's done in the past, you know, she's sorry about what happened, and letting her die won't solve anything. And then Jaden says that Sage killed my mother. So we're just going, she's banging the stepdad. She kills his mom. What the fuck?
Fucking wild.
It's so crazy. Oh, I hate it. And then they start like doing things, and he tells her that she needs to beg if she wants to come. And she does. He gets her to come. And okay, so that's fun for me. All of this is just, I hate it. Sage is a piece of shit. I still just like, I fucking hate that woman. So while Mary Jo lady is asleep, Cole, Cole and Jaden are sitting together, and he pulls his phone out and tells him that Captain Flynn called wanting to know where Jaden was. Who is Captain Flynn? I don't know.
No idea.
No idea. Apparently, this guy, though, is looking for Sage. So the last thing that they want is a search warrant. So they need to figure some shit out because it's a little
They need to
mysterious.
finish this.
It's a little
They need to finish
mysterious
this
that
now.
two girls have gone missing now. When Mary Jo wakes up, Cole fucks her, even though she's sore. Doesn't matter. And then they're talking about how they need to take her with, like, oh, we need to take her with us because they can't trust her alone. And then Jaden says, you know, I won't hide who I am from her, and she's gonna find out sooner or later, and she deserves to know. What does she deserve to know? And Cole calls her out for spying on them. And they tell her, well, we need to get going. Let's go. And Cole assures her that Jaden's not going to hurt her. And of course, Cole asks her why she cares about Sage so much and that she doesn't even know her. And Mary Jo says that I don't need to know her to know you shouldn't hurt her. And he goes, I won't. Jaden will. Which, true facts. But he wants to know why she cares and that none of this is her fault because clearly now she's thinking, oh shit, like this shit with
I
Sage
kissed
is
this
my
girl.
fault. Like
I know.
this whole thing happened because of me. So Jaden has been avoiding having this happen. And it's not because he has feelings for Sage or anything, because that part of his soul died like a super long time ago. But he doesn't like to acknowledge that deep, gut wrenching loss again. So he drives them to an abandoned house. It's where him and Cole killed Pat. So it's only fitting that they also kill her there.
Surprise, they killed Pat.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he hinted at it when he said
I
that
know, I
they
know, I
chopped
know.
his balls off and
I
stuffed him
know.
in his eyes.
But it's like,
Yeah.
oh, look, here you go.
Yeah. Sage looks terrified, but all he can see when he looks at her is the text between her and his mother.
Which we don't get anything with that either.
I don't understand the text messages part, but
That's what I
we
meant.
we kind of learned that he's going to basically kill Sage with the exact same dosage of drugs that Sage killed his mother with.
So apparently his mom was a recovering druggie, much like Sage. And apparently Sage, it's very vague, but somehow forced his mom's hand to take like
A bunch of
enough
pills.
drugs to be able to
Killer.
kill her.
Yeah. Of course, Mary Jo is having a moment and is like, no, stop, please don't. And instead, he just forces a ton of drugs down Sage's throat. So that's fun. Yeah. They drive back to the cabin in silence. Joe doesn't say anything, and she's disassociating, which,
You just watch them basically murder
duh.
somebody.
You just watch somebody murder somebody. Ugh. So they go home. She's laying in bed. She starts gripping her stomach, and she's in like an immense amount of pain. And Cole is looking at her, and he's like, dude, Jaden, something is wrong. And she's bleeding, like profusely fucking bleeding. And they don't even know what to do, so they need to bring her to the hospital. Turns out she had a miscarriage, a pretty violent one, and she lost a lot of blood, and she had an infection and a lot of blood loss. She just wants to get the fuck out of here. So when Jaden leaves the room, she's like, now is my chance. And she stares at the wall and she's like, I need to run. Because all of the staff, like the nurses and stuff, Jaden has told them that he is her husband. So when the nurse comes in, she goes, that's not my husband. The nurse is like, what do you mean? And she goes, that man, he is not my husband. And this nurse was like, you know what? My last husband was a piece of shit too. Stay here. I'm going to have you sign this
I got
paperwork.
you.
I'm going to get you an Uber. We're going to get you the fuck out of here. And she goes, what address do you need to go to? Turns out her house, 2 fucking hours away. So this nurse helps her, badass motherfucking nurse, helps her, gets her out. She heads back. So she gets up to the house, and Kyle's car is there, and also another car that she does not recognize. And she goes up, knocks on the door. Kyle answers, and he goes, oh my God. And she goes, can I come in? And then she hears a woman's voice. And this woman comes out, and she goes, what is she doing here? Because apparently she looks super familiar. And she's like, I'm his girlfriend, Jen. And then it all hits her that Kyle's a piece of shit and had been cheating on her. And then she's like, fuck, well, I also need to get out of here, so I need somebody's car. How much gas does your car have? Like, I can't take my car. I'm in trouble. I need to get out. Dangerous men are after me. They're gonna take me again and fucking kidnap me again. And then
Kyle's dumb
she
and
tells this woman,
confused
she
because
goes,
he just got this breakup letter, so he didn't even know she was
well, that's
missing.
and he tries to say that to her too. He goes, "You wrote me," but even so, he's a piece of shit. Like,
That's what I said. He's just fucking dumb.
yeah. And she goes, "You took my." She says to this girl judge, she goes, "You took my boyfriend and my life. The least you can do is allow me my freedom." Kyle's like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why don't you just take my car?" And she goes, "I need a car they don't recognize." So there we go. And then we get 2 weeks later. She's gone, gone like the wind, but not like the book. These are very different books. And Jaden's not eating, and Cole's trying to like force feed him. He is miserable. Like, he's tried to look at Google Earth images of Carissa's house because he's thinking maybe she's there, and he is lost. And then we get 6 months later. So this bitch is gone for so long. Like, I feel at this point they were just trying to hurry up the end of the book. Because we're at
Yep.
90%. And it's six
Yep.
months later. And she is trying to have sex with this man. And something is wrong with her. And she goes, can we spice it up? And he goes, huh? She goes, you know what? I don't feel very well. She's like, I don't know what's wrong. She's like, I found him on Tinder, wanted a date. And she's just like, I'm sorry, it's not working. And he goes, fine. Have a nice night. Life, whatever. And she leaves. And she calls Carissa, and Carissa's like, bitch, it's early as fuck.
What
She's
was he?
like,
No, two pump chump.
what was your one pump jump? I feel like that's a conversation we would have if that happened. You'd be like, bitch, it's early for me.
That was fast.
Right? What happened? It
Mhm.
wasn't me. And Carissa reminds her that she has an appointment for a tattoo removal the next day. Joe has been
And that you
postponing.
can't blow it off again.
Yeah, so she's been postponing and procrastinating on this, and she doesn't know why, but she can't bring herself to go, and the tattoo just feels like a part of her. So when she goes back to Carissa's house, and when she kind of goes in there, she's like, ugh, I need sleep. I can't shake the feeling. I feel like someone is around every corner. You should probably listen to your gut.
Listen to your heart
So when she wakes up,
when they're coming for you.
right? When she wakes up, Carissa gives her this envelope and she goes, oh, this came for you. And it's just a light blue envelope with Mary printed on the front. Nothing else. That's it.
Love how you just like changed this whole story, but I'm rolling with it.
What do you mean?
She was at work and it was some lady at work that
Oh,
gave her
just
the
kidding. You're
envelope.
right.
And
I
it's
did.
okay.
No,
She wasn't Chris's at all, and it's okay.
oh,
It's all good.
whatever.
Like I said, I'm rolling with it. I was just
I don't
thinking
know.
it was hilarious.
Well,
It was
it's one of Carissa's properties that she's staying at.
no, but that's
None of
okay.
this was, it
It's
was
okay.
confusing. Okay,
Yep.
I'm glad. I like how
All
I
good.
like how you changed the story. I don't fucking know.
It's all good.
And all the inside of this letter says is kitten. We know who it is.
Run.
So we get Cole and they're just waiting. And they're parked on the side of the road about a mile from the house. And Jaden's like, let's just go get her. We've waited long enough to play. And Cole's like, it'll flush, just wait. Just wait. They have been searching for her and they have not been able to find her. But a few days ago, their smart, opportunistic, aggravating thing made a fatal mistake because she opened a goddamn. She's so dumb.
She used a
Um,
fake name, but yeah.
it doesn't even matter. She
I
put
know.
her picture on a
I
dating
know.
app.
I know.
And yes, she didn't use her real name, but she used an old picture that she had posted on her real Facebook page.
Yep.
So obviously, they ended up finding her. And they do say it's almost like she wanted to be found. So yes, while she's a
Hmm.
dumb bitch,
Imagine that.
there she wanted to be found. And
Which we would know more if we probably got more of a story.
and all I can think of is, she's gonna pay. She's gonna pay for this big time.
Because
Cole,
without that information, without us getting her actual wants and not just the hints of her wanting,
yeah,
it just made it kind of icky without actually having a whole story.
there's a lot of ickiness in this book. And Jaden's like, it'll work. It'll work. If there's one thing our kitten does best is run. No shit. So she feels bad for leaving Rosemary and Carissa, but she doesn't want to get them involved. So she's heading out the back door, leaving out the side door. Oh man. And she jogs to the road and she's going to go towards Carissa's house. So I don't even care
And first of
how
all,
it's Carissa's
on
house.
foot, not even trying to drive.
Are you listen? This bitch also ran outside with no shoes on multiple times and
Mm.
didn't even care or give any thought. But so she's like, oh, you know what? The reason why she doesn't get the car is because they've probably staked it out. And, but again, I feel like the car would be the faster way to get away. It doesn't even matter. Whatever. She's got adrenaline going on. She's been waiting for this all 6 months that they'd find her. And she's like, it feels like I'm playing an old game again. So very clearly, she wants this to happen. And then she hears an engine sounding down the road. She turns around, but the road's empty. Oh my God, there's nothing there. Ah, heart is racing. It's like, it's probably just a neighbor. No, it's not. The engine's getting louder and louder. And she sees the truck and she's like, fuck balls. And it comes up and they slam on the brakes and they open the door and they go, I wouldn't stop if I were you. Cole's a little testy that you've gotten away for this long. Is Cole the testy one? Really? Are you sure it's not Jaden? Are you sure Jaden's not the testy one right now? This man has not eaten. And she turns around and fucking sprints. She's like, I
Did
run
you
fast.
just say this man has not eaten?
He's angry.
You're just taking full liberties at this point.
He had not been eating. They
I
even
know.
said he
I
hasn't been
know.
eating.
Well, that was only the first 2 weeks, but yeah.
I don't care. This man is hangry all the time. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But anyway, so she turns and fucking sprints her ass down
This
the
book
road.
has so many holes that Crystal's just filling them
I'm
in
filling in
for
with my
us.
own holes. They're my own. It's fine. So she's running. She has no idea where she's going until she sees a barn. Oh my God. And she runs to it. She can see that it's old and unused, and the sliding doors are
Sliding.
sag open.
We're
That's
gonna say the sliding doors were sliding.
the sliding doors sag open, and she slips herself inside. It literally says sag open, and I hate that as a description.
Do you like anything?
I do.
Okay.
I don't
I
even
feel
want to
like
hear it because the amount of times that you have bashed books that I have enjoyed while you're describing them is an immense amount.
I
And
just
I've been
feel
very good this
like
entire month, so you
I
can go
just
fuck off with that.
I just feel like we could have a whole drinking game with I hate that.
I probably should have just drank while I read this book or done this episode. It is the end of the month. I'm getting snippy, okay? Didn't like this book very much. Anyways, so she hears a voice and it just says, I miss you. Come out and play. And they ask her if she's touched herself without permission. And she just doesn't answer. And they're like, oh, that's a broken rule, little one. Two broken rules, actually. I told you not to run. Oh. And then Cole steps forward and he is muscled and he looks good. And he just looks like he wants to eat her alive. And she says, I know what I'm about to say will make them angry and fuck me harder. So she says it. She just says, I played your stupid game and I won. I beat you, Jaden. Just needed to come here to get that reminder. She takes a little knife out. I want you to back off and go to hell. Girl, no. And Jaden does the most uncharacteristic thing. And Cole also says, me too, lemon drop. And they apologize. And she goes, I don't know what to say. But then Cole's like, it doesn't change the fact you've broken our rules. And she's warned that the moment is over by just a little glint in Jaden's eyes before he darts towards her. And then he slams her into the wall, and they both go into the wall. But he does like cushion her head so it doesn't like slam. And of course, they are touching her, doing all that fun stuff. And then Cole winks at her, and then Jaden unzips his pants. And she's going to ride Cole while
Ride,
blowing
Sally, ride.
Jaden. And yeah, but she does tell him he's not allowed to use hands. They fuck. Sounds great. Deal.
Does it?
No. And then they take the knife and they carve their initials into her. So Cole has a J carved into him for Joe. Jaden has an M for Mary. And now she's got initials. So dumb. So then Jaden fucks her. So there's that.
So
Boom. And that's it.
enthusiastic.
It ends with them fucking her, and they just say, welcome back, little one. You're fucked now. And then we
You're
end the book.
ours forever.
Holy sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
That was
yeah.
a book. It had words and everything.
Words and everything.
Words and everything. So, who was your least favorite character?
Wow. All of the options. It was very difficult to choose because all of the backstories were so incomplete. But with the limited information we have, I'm going to go with Sage.
Same. I feel like she really instigated, like, she pretty much was the catalyst for this entire book, and she's the
Yeah.
reason any of this fucking happened.
Yeah.
Besides the
Exactly.
fact that, like, Mary Jo's a little bit slutty when she drinks some tequila, but, like,
Right.
it really wasn't
But
her
I mean,
fault. I
so
just
are
dropped
you.
my Kindle
So
on the floor on accident. It wasn't really her fault. So, yeah, Sage is the villain of the story. Who was your favorite? I'll tell you mine.
the nurse at the hospital.
Okay, let's go with that one because I was going to say nobody. But yes, the nurse at the hospital. She is,
Tried real hard.
yeah, she is the real MVP of this book. That's for sure. Alrighty. So, Amazon gives us a 4.1 and Goodreads gives us a 3.7.
Oh, I can't wait to find out what you rated this.
What are you giving it?
Oh, you need me to go first. I had a hard time because I felt like this could have been something, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is also how I felt about another book we read recently.
We've
So
had a lot of that lately, and it's kind of getting
it
really
made me
annoying.
sad. Yeah. So in light of that, I decided to rate it the same way. So I rated it 2 stars.
Me too. I also gave it a 2. There was just
I was going to rate it 2.5, but then we just talked about it and I was like,
I feel like
yeah,
so
I'm
it's
lazy.
funny because I was gonna do a 2.5 to give it kind of like a little bit better, but
Hmm.
realistically, there was just there was just too much. Like too much missing, too it wasn't
Mm,
there wasn't enough backstory, and when you think that it's gonna start having one, it just stops, and
I
that's so
agree.
annoying. And
Yes.
so
And
it
it
just
could have had potential, but there was just nope. Bye-bye.
and that's the thing, like there had potential, and obviously there was definitely stuff I didn't like about it. Clearly, I
And
very much voiced my opinion,
regardless of whether
but
it was your book or not, you can recognize that it could have had potential
e-
to be something that
exactly.
could
And
have
I think
been my book versus your book, right? You know, or
right. We read plenty of books that are not up my alley, but I still rate them pretty decently because I understand the concept of the book and I can hate so many things about a
and
book but still rate it
you
pretty
can
high because it
enjoy
was so
the
good.
concept, or you might not like certain things, or
Yeah.
yeah.
But I struggled reading it.
I don't think it's fair to cucumber rate this one
I can't.
simply because
It was terrible. Sorry.
it wasn't good, and B, it wasn't even really dubcon. It was really like non-con like the whole time. So,
I didn't even think that she said anything about dubcon through this. It
oh,
just
I
said
thought it said
non-con.
both. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
No, it only said non-con.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought it was both.
It also
Would
had
you
8%.
survive if you were in this book?
No. Actually, no, I would because I would have been smarter.
Yeah, but I think I also would have been smarter, but I also think that in being smarter, I would have been less like what they wanted. So I'm wondering
Oh yeah, for
if I would
sure.
have just died. Next month for our
I
specials,
get to take a pick.
um, we won't be so
So dark
we'll
because
Well,
Crystal gets the pick and
yes.
they're gonna
So
be
we'll
Grumpy
still see
Sunshine, and
Crystal
I'm
for
so excited.
specials, which is exciting, but she won't be leading all the regular ones, so she'll get a little bit of a break. And she won't be having to have such a dark theme. But whether you like dark or light, make sure that you keep reading.
And keep it smutty.